Usua within the Joseph said, do not from a bobo wa yosi. Cemetery TV, our online. Na ye all power TV. Kinsa kwa ye miami ni television station no. All power TV a public. A ho na me share news. O my mun sam amano ne. Open news for papa a all power TV. Wa yosi. I choose you. See you.
I hope you see my screen now.
Yeah, I see your screen. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So you're looking at this great comparison. This was done by someone after both men died. Okay. So Jonathan Edwards, like after he died, about 100 years after he died, and 100 years after this guy also died. This was what they traced each family pattern. And so for Jonathan Edwards, he was a man of God and married a woman of like character. And they committed their marriage to the Lord. And these are his descendants. Out of his descendants, we have 300 clergymen, 100 professors, 100 attorneys, 30 judges, 1 dean of law school, 60 physicians, 1 dean of medical school, 14 presidents of universities, 3 state governors, 1 controller of U.S. Treasury, and 1 vice president of the United States. That is Jonathan Edwards, like his lineage.
Yeah.
And we're looking at Max Jukes. Max Jukes was a non-believer, and he married a woman of his like character, and the woman lacked principles and was involved in occultism. So this is what happened. Out of his 1,200 descendants, they had like 310 of them were professional vagrants. 440 of them wrecked their lives through debauchery. 130 went to jail, 7 for murder. The average sentence for each jail was 13 years. It was more than 600 of them were alcoholics. 60 were habitual thieves. 190 were prostitutes. 20 became tradesmen. 10 learned trade in prison. That sin cost the state of New York $1,250,000. So in looking at this, it makes you want to think about the impact of one person in a generation.
Definitely.
To the point that you can stand in there and change the course of everything that is happening in your life.
Definitely.
But in much the same way too, someone can come before you and cause everything bad to go on in your life.
Definitely. Definitely.
You know, you look at Jonathan's blessings. There was no way Jonathan can tell me he was wise by himself, because David prayed for him.
Definitely.
So imagine if David had done something bad as the other kings of Israel had done. So I don't know if you can say something small about this, like comparing these two lives.
Sure. So that's a very good, practical analogy about the difference between these two people, Jonathan Edwards and Max Jukes. Yeah. So like you rightly said, Jonathan Edwards was a man of God who married a woman of God as well, and going through their lineage or their descendants, like you rightly said, 300 of them were clergymen, 100 professors, 100 of them were attorneys, 30 of them were judges, 60 of them physicians, 14 of them presidents of universities. And on the other hand, when you look at Max Jukes, who was an unbeliever, looking at 1,200 descendants, 310 of them were professional backgrounds, 440 wrecked their lives with debauchery, 130 went to jail, 600 alcoholics, 60 were habitual thieves, 190 prostitutes. So basically, you realize that there is a pattern, right? There's a pattern. And what I would say here is that it's not only about what you leave for your children.
Okay.
What you leave, let me pronounce the word right, what you leave for your children, L-E-V-A. What you leave for your children, but it's what you leave in them. I want to make that point again. It's not about what you leave for your children in terms of inheritance, right? But what you leave in them. in terms of character and integrity. Prempeh College, when we sing our wanted, we say character and integrity, character and integrity. Man for. Be careful you don't edit this part out. I know.
I won't. Okay.
And I believe OWAS guys probably also have something like that in your beliefs, you know.
Oh yeah, we believe that God is the source of all wisdom.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. You know. So the point I'm making is that as a parent, it's not only a matter of what you leave for your children, but what you leave in them in terms of character and integrity. So basically, looking at those two examples again, I believe that Jonathan Edwards left in his children character and integrity, important values like maybe hard work, like maybe, you know, being a person of good character, having integrity, not cutting corners, working hard, you know, being good to people, caring about people. You know, he left for them the importance of education. But Mas Jukes, on the other hand, also left different virtues or vices, maybe for his children. And like I said initially, when it comes to a mentor, the greatest mentor a child can have is his or her parents.
Okay.
Because we model for them what it means to be a dad. Well, as we are in our homes with our children, the children are learning from their mother how to be a wife, the girls. They are learning from their mothers how to be a wife. They are learning from their fathers how to be a dad or a husband. You know, so children, like I said, learn unconsciously through the environment. And so as parents, we are supposed to be intentional in cutting, you know, a course or charting a course for our children. And most children, like they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You know, so unless one of these descendants of Max Jukes intentionally or consciously associates himself with different people that have a different, you know, upbringing with a different mindset and begins to tap into their wisdom or their lifestyle, based upon the environment he grew in, he's going to end up like that. So sometimes it can be spiritual, but sometimes it's not only spiritual, but also, you know, character-wise, nurture, how, you know, you are nurtured. Because every child comes into this world as a clean slate. You know, whatever they become is what they are taught by the environment. And that's why I gave Obama's example that if he was raised by a different family, maybe he wouldn't have ended up where he ended up in. So your environment, your education, and all that, you know, mold you to become who you are. There are people that are in prisons today that would have become a president if they were not born into the families they were born in or the environment they were born in. There are also people that are presidents or became presidents that would have ended up in prison if they were born into a different family or had a different upbringing. There are statistics to prove that children who are moved from one home to the other, in terms of foster homes, usually have a lot of challenges. And it's all because they don't have a stable environment. So environment is everything. If you take a fish out of water, it can die. But the moment you put that fish back in water, its genius comes out. You know, so environment is everything. And I believe that it's all a matter of environment and upbringing. So generational blessings depend upon good environment and a person deciding to have a generational mentality and molding up his family to become what he or she wants them to be. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, brother. This is All Power TV. So we just about to end. So I want you to give a word of advice to our people. Let's say, okay, my name is Michael Sentim. I want to have an equal, if not better, generational history.
Yes.
As Jonathan Edwards.
Yes.
I've just graduated from college. What do you think? I believe you said one thing, that being a generational thinker.
Yes.
Like, what other things do you think I need to do to make sure that my lineage after me becomes, if not better than these guys?
Sure. I believe that in life, nothing happens by chance, right? Even things that happen by chance, if you're not prepared for it, you're going to lose them. That's why it is said that most people that win the lottery sometimes end up broke, because it happened by chance. But there is a saying that when preparations meet opportunity, there is success. When you prepare for something and an opportunity opens, you become successful. So for you to have generational blessings, you need to, number one, be a generational thinker. And I will say that you need to also make the required sacrifices.
Okay.
Right? And instead of satisfying your instant gratification, satisfying your instant needs, think about tomorrow. The Bible talks about the fact that we should learn from the ant. When you read the book of Proverbs, it says that go to the ant, Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6 to 11. It says, go to the ant and learn from him. Right? It says during the summertime, the ant has wisdom to know that there is going to come a time or winter that the weather will not be conducive. So that little insect, so little, but it has the brains to have foresight. So the lesson here is that God wants us to have foresight. If that little insect has brains enough to know that seasons in life change, maybe you're listening to us tonight and you have a good job, you are strong, you're a young man. That season is not going to be like that forever. There's going to come a time that good job you have will not be there anymore. Even the current or contemporary things that are happening tell us that no condition is permanent. Now, people that had good jobs, some of those companies have closed down. They don't have any more good jobs. So the point I'm making is that you should understand that seasons change, and therefore you need to plan for the future. Even the strength that you have as a young man, that you can do 2 jobs, 3 jobs, you won't have it forever. So it's important that as you are getting money, you put some aside, do investments. Like I said, the Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children. So you have to consciously invest your money. And when it comes to investment, it takes time. It wouldn't grow overnight. You need to put money there little by little. Like they say, little drops of water make a mighty ocean. And they say that the greatest power is the power of compound interest.
Mm-hmm.
So as you invest money little by little, that money will grow. That same money that you are wasting on useless stuff as a young person, buying designer stuff to impress people, that money can be used to make an investment. So you can change the destiny of your future, your future generations by being strategic, not being focused on only today. Because a lot of people only focus on today, what they will eat, the clothing they will put on, without thinking about the future. Like I said, America is where it is today because their forefathers had foresight. They planned for the future. They were not selfish. But a lot of us are so selfish. We don't even care about our children, nor to even think about our children's children. But the Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So number one, you should not be selfish. You should have foresight and think about your family's future, the future of your family, right? And you need to make the required sacrifices. You need to make the necessary sacrifice because it's all a matter of sacrifice. There are 2 things. Do I buy designer clothing to show off now, or do I invest that money for the future of my kids? You have to sacrifice. Mm-hmm. So you have to sacrifice that designer clothing for the future of your kids, right? I believe there are a lot of people that were blessed at a point in their life, but they chose instant gratification instead of future investments. So you need to, make the required sacrifices that you need to make. And also, like I stated, leave something in your children. Spend time with your children and leave in them the values that they need. Because even if you leave money for your children, if they don't have the right character, they will mess it up, right? If you're not able to impart the values that you have in your children, those children are going to, whatever inheritance you leave for them, they're going to squander it. So build them up, teach them life lessons, show them how to, be responsible. And you should also model that with your character. Show them by your character how to save money, how to be scrupulous in the way you save and manage money. And I believe by that, and also with prayer, I believe with also prayer as well, you'll be able to guide your children, because sometimes children also have unique destinies that they need to fulfill. And it's your responsibility as a parent to be able to discover the strengths of your children and then guide each of them in order for them to be able to, fulfill their destiny. I always refer to Jacob, the one who became Israel. Mm-hmm. The Bible says that at the end of his life, he prophesied to all his 12 children, and every prophecy he gave about each of his children was accomplished, each of them. Ruby, Simon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, all of them, all the 12 children. The Bible says every prophecy he gave about them happened. And the Bible says that after he finished speaking prophetically into their lives, he went to rest. Yeah. That means that as a father, you don't qualify to die or rest until you have been able to guide your children to fulfill their destinies. Like a father, as a father, you are like a God, a mini God to your children. You are guiding the destinies of your children. And I'm so happy about some of the things that you were, ideas that you were propounding when you were doing your campaign about the fact that we need to create an avenue and chart a course for our children. And I wouldn't be surprised if in future one of your children becomes the president of America, because you have guided them in that, that path. So that is what I want to say.
May it be so according to the word of the man of God. Yeah, brother, thank you very much.
I'm not sure if there is anything that you would want me to add. I would say you have to make the right sacrifices, not be selfish and plan. And I think some of us, selfishness is our greatest problem.
Okay.
As a group of people, we are so selfish. We don't care about our nation. We don't even care about our own children. We are so selfish. Somebody will get money and all you do is spend it on women. So by the time he's 60, he has spent all the money he made on women, buying cars for women, buying houses for women, whilst even his own children, he has not been able to set those children up for a good future. So I think self-centeredness is one of our problems as well. So I believe you have to be selfless, and we also have to be, I would say, self-disciplined. Be disciplined in terms of our spending, be disciplined in terms of our lives. And that is how we can, any society where there is no discipline, there is chaos. And children, when they grow up in a disciplined home, it becomes their way of life. Children that grow up in a disciplined home where there is structure, grow up because they grow up in that, so it becomes part of them. But a child that does not have discipline at home grows up and the child doesn't even know what discipline is about. They struggle to even function in a place where it's disciplined. They don't understand when the boss tells them that do this, don't do that, because that is not what they are used to. They are used to doing whatever they like, so they can't even take instructions. So self-discipline, self-sacrifice, having foresight, making the right sacrifices, all help us to be able to live that, make that transgenerational impact and leave a generational blessing for our children. So I think that is what I would say. And also be a good person, be a good person that will leave blessings for your family. Because if you are cheating people, always cheating people, people also keep curses on you, and it can affect your children. And when people also open their mouth to say, God bless you, it's also a blessing on you. And because there are people that were rich, but because they killed people, it has left a generational curses on their children. And even though they were rich, there are people like that. You realize that their great-grandfather was a rich person, but all the people in their family are not some way, somehow, because their great-grandfather hurt a lot of people.
So I believe one day we'll come to it. Do you believe in altars?
In altars, in terms of
like, you see how we have when in the Old Testament, everywhere they went, they built an altar. Anytime they had an encounter with God, they built an altar.
A memorial, yeah.
So speaking of, let's say a grandparent, somebody doing something, it affected it. Like I believe you have some idea about it. We're gonna find some other time to talk about it.
Sure.
They need to build altars. A good altar is like when someone builds a good altar for you. No matter what you do, you succeed. You see those people in life.
I believe that it's not only the spiritual component, but it also the character component is also there, right? Because if somebody builds an altar for you and you don't do the right thing, there is a saying that decisions determine destinies.
Okay. Right.
So the person building an altar for you, the spiritual component is there, but the character component also has to be there, because in life, things don't happen by chance. Things happen as a result. There is action and reaction. For instance, no matter how blessed you are, if you have a business and all the income that comes in, you end up spending it all. No matter the altar that your grandfather has built for you, at the end of the day, the business will not work. But people that touch things and they say that anything this guy touches becomes gold means he makes some good decisions. And the reason why he makes some good decisions is that he has been brought up in a way that he has been trained to make those good decisions. And then apart from that, the Bible says when we sow, God rains upon the seed that we have sown. But you need to sow first. If you don't sow, when the rain comes, what is the rain coming on? So we as humans have a human responsibility, and then God also blesses the work of our hands. So I think the two come together. I believe Jonathan Edwards, like we give that example, his children didn't become doctors when they were lying on their bed. They became doctors by going to school. So I believe that, and that's why I brought that analogy in that the Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children. I said that it's not only what you live for them, but what you leave in them. So that altar may have been both character and spiritual blessings.
Okay.
Just spiritual blessings will not do it. And that spiritual blessings should be able to be revealed in the person's character. So as a spiritual person, you're supposed to pray for your children, but also teach them. That's why I quoted those scriptures at the beginning, that God told the people of Israel, he told Abraham when he was giving him the covenant, he told Noah, all of them that teach whatever I'm teaching you, don't let it remain with you, but also do what? Teach your kids. So a real altar is not only prayer, but also living inside your children character and integrity, which they will be able to build their lives with. Because you die and go one day. And if your children don't make the right decisions, at the end of the day, they won't have the right results. I said not too long ago that in life, God has set laws in motion, right? And you choose your consequences by your actions. When I put my hand in fire right now, no matter which part of the world I come from, my hand is going to burn, because God has put that law in motion, the fact that heat burns, right? So there are actions and reactions. So we choose our future by our actions. We choose our consequences by our actions. So a good family altar is not only prayer, but also living inside your children the good, virtues that they need to live their life with. That's what I would say.
Thank you very much, brother. I believe you've also been a blessing. I thank God for your life. I thank God for this good impartation. I have these key points that I'm going to keep in mind, that you have to be a generational thinker, and you have to be a generational thinker, and you have to be be strategic in your decisions, and there are certain things that you have to intentionally decide to do. I believe most people, I don't know if it's lack of willpower or not, but they would know everything else and still fail. And that is one sad aspect of life, that I know that everything is going so bad and I still allow it to happen. It's a sad reality. I know that all my brothers are drunkards. All my fathers, they were divorced. My grandfather was a divorcee. My father is a divorcee, and I still allow it to happen to me. And sometimes they look at us like, this is so beyond me. I believe one thing that a person should, one of the first things that you have to know in life is to know your background. Until you know your background, your back will be at the ground. They have this, I think, United Negro College fan. They say like, what do you call it? Those who forget their history are doomed to repeat it. So, when you go to the hospital, one aspect that it saddens me that when you go to the hospital, most of our doctors are atheists. They don't believe it. They don't even apply God, even when they believe it. But when you go, the first thing they ask you is, do you have any family history of alcoholism? Do you have any history of blood pressure? Do you have any? So these people who supposedly don't even, most of them don't even go to church. Those are going to be the first questions they ask you. So as a believer, as a spiritually minded person, one of the first things you have to always check your background. Definitely. Because if you ignore it, before you know, your back will always be at the ground. You know, when you go to hospital, they're gonna give you this like checklist, and check this: stroke, blood pressure, diabetes. Like they'll give you all these, tobacco abuse, even stuff that you think is someone's like loose behavior. They give you these, and why do you think they give it to you? They are able to predict certain things in your life based on the little thing. Even if you are lying, they can predict that this and this. If you are coming from this, genetically, you can be that. So I think every spiritually minded person, people who want to be generational thinkers, one of the things that you have to be very much aware of, start going from the back.
Definitely.
Check your background.
Definitely.
You know, your father wasn't stupid for being a loser.
Yeah.
Your grandfather wasn't stupid for going to jail.
Yeah.
Your parents were not stupid for divorcing.
Yeah.
You're going to ask most of them, and you ask most of them, and they'll tell you, we don't even know how it happened. We started so good. Your father was awesome to me. Your mom was so great. I don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
And it's because most of us refused, I don't know whether it's intentional or not, but we refused to look behind and see what were the reasons that made good men end up divorced. What were the reasons that made good men end up in jail? Yeah. Why are people after 45, 50 years, they look back and they're so sad, they can't even attend like old student meetings? Yeah. What happened? Mm-hmm. So that is what I've been thinking about. That if I want to be a generational thinker, maybe I have to start looking at my backgrounds, both families. Look at your uncles. What were their lives? You know, and sometimes you may not even live with them, but genetically in the spiritual thing, your spiritual DNA is aligned. Yeah. You know, so it's difficult to break that umbilical cord if you are not even aware of it, or if you are even refusing that it is there. Yeah. I believe that's why most Christians die poor. Yeah. That's why most Christians die unfulfilled. Mm-hmm. That's why most Christians, they live their life at the end of the day. I heard this story that there was this pastor who went on retirement, and afterwards he became a Muslim. Why? Because he was so poor, the church wasn't able to take care of him, and some Muslim friends in his neighborhood were taking care of him. So he thought the Christian Brotherhood wasn't good enough, and he joined the Muslim Brotherhood. Yeah. When I heard that, I'm like, this man, he probably applied too much like spiritual things without looking at the physical aspect of life too. Yeah, definitely. And I could tell most definitely he wasn't a strategic thing. Not strategic that he was stupid, but he probably never looked at his background. Go check your father. Go check your grandfather. Go check your uncles. What is the pattern that is coming? Yeah. You know, at one time, Bill Clinton said this profound thing. He said, don't listen to the headlines. Mm-hmm. Always watch the trend lines. Yeah. You know, he was giving a speech like, you know, forget about the news, the breaking news. Don't listen to those headlines. Look at the trend lines. So if you look at your family, what is the trend that has been set? Yeah. And you may think you are strong, you are powerful, you are this, you are educated at Harvard, anything else. If you don't take care, you most likely end up like that. Yeah. And if you want somebody to look up to, if you want someone to give you like a true life story, go to your fathers. Yeah. They'll tell you about their lives. Definitely. You know, go to your mothers. Mom, why did you get divorced? Did you ever think you would be divorced? And most of the time, what they will tell you is they will tell you pretty much the same thing that you are thinking right now. Yeah. Oh, your mom will be like, you know what? Your father was awesome. We had a great marriage. I don't know why. And at this very moment, you also having a great marriage with your spouse. You think you are awesome. You know. Yeah. So it is something that I have learned a lot from. And I think to be a generational thinker and to be a blessing to the next generation, every well-meaning person, you know, should look at that aspect too. Definitely. You know, because if I go to the hospital and they give me this thing, do you think they are stupid or they're just inquisitive or they just want to like pile more, like work on themselves by trying to look at what killed my father, what killed my grandparents? No, they know that what killed them will most likely affect you. Until you start checking your diet, start checking everything else. So in a spiritual sense too, if you be like, okay, I want my family, I want to see my son, I want to see two of my sons, you know, vying for the presidency of the United States. Yeah. What do I have to do? I want to see my nephews hitting all the right spots. What do I do? sit back and check your background. How many of your family members have been able to graduate from college? How many of your family have been able to? Okay, so you have been able to break that like floodgate. So what do I do? Is I have to raise the bar. I have to do this. I have to do that. You know, so that is one thing that of late I've been thinking a lot. Yeah. You know, because trust me, I'm tired of being successful. Yeah. I told this person in an interview, I want to be great. Yeah. You know, you can be successful in school, but you will fear failure in your married life. That is not greatness.
Yeah, definitely.
You can be successful in let's say in your marriage, but be a failure raising your kids.
Yeah.
But great men, even with their shortcomings, they are able to make an impact that affects generations.
Definitely.
Nelson Mandela could not hold his family, but his impact towards generations, it's something that it's incomparable. Yeah. So that is what I have at this moment. I believe our listeners will love this. I thank you for your time and for sharing your profound knowledge into this. And I'm praying to God that whatever you've lost, He replenishes in you, and to give you more insight into spiritual. We should be tired of success. We have to press on towards the next mark.
Definitely.
It's making impact in generations. I don't know if you have any last word for our viewers.
I think you've put the icing on the cake. Yeah, that was a great perspective of looking at your family patterns so that you won't repeat the same mistakes that your forefathers made. There is always a saying that a wise person learns from the mistakes of other people. It doesn't wait to repeat those same mistakes, or wait till they make their own mistakes before they learn from them. You're supposed to learn from the mistakes of other people. So I think that is a very good perspective to our discussion. So God bless you once again. I want to say thank you so much for.
Thank you too.
It was
thank you too. I really appreciate it. Okay, so say hi to your wife and kids. I can't wait to see them one day. Yeah. Thank you very much. This is All Power TV. Today we had our dear brother. He's a pastor. He's an elder at the Church of Pentecost, and he's been doing awesome. He's also a teacher at the Pentecost. Is it like the seminar?
Adjunct, lecturer at the University, Pentecost University.
Okay, thank you very much. May God increase, and may He, push you higher and higher. We need people like you in there. I can tell my kids, hey, do you know this Argent professor? He is my buddy. I know him from Adam. Anyways, thank you very much, brother. God bless you, and bye to everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.